What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. So today, we're going to be talking about treasure map. Now, we're going to be doing a little bit of a different treasure map preparation video this time, because this time, I actually want to go in the game and use the in-game treasure map team builder to show you guys the free-to-play options that I've constructed for you guys, and you know, we can just discuss each of the bosses from there, because it's all in-game now, which is really good. So if you guys really like this style, then I'm going to continue doing it, because it saves a lot of time for me, because time is something that I don't have a lot of right now. So anyways, let's jump into it. Let's go over to the treasure map icon, and it actually gives us details about the upcoming treasure map against Pudding. Now, one thing that I do have to mention is that according to the JP scheduling, Pudding technically was not the next treasure map to come out. The next treasure map to come out after the one that we just had, which was Nami Sanji, was actually Jinbei. Jinbei is going to be the treasure map that comes after this one, because Jinbei came alongside Luffy, Sanji, Sweet Commanders, and Germa. Whereas, you know, obviously, Pudding comes alongside the Halloween stuff, and the Halloween stuff was fast-tracked to global, so there's actually some characters that we don't have for this treasure map that would make it a lot easier, but there are still ways around it, and we'll discuss it as we get into the video today. So the treasure map starts on the 16th and goes until the 20th, so pretty stock standard stuff. First of all, let's just talk about the new character. Let's talk about the new Pudding and discuss what she does and just talk about her and see how good she actually is, right? So this Pudding is an int shooter driven. Interesting that she's driven, because the only other driven Pudding that I can think of is the limited rare recruit. It's just not something that you see too often, just a driven Pudding. But artwork is really good, by the way. It's really, really good artwork. Her captain effect is a 3.5 times boosting captain, 1.2 health, and resists special reverse by 1 turn. It's a pretty good free-to-play captain, honestly. Her special ability, though, one thing that you do notice, it's a 25 cooldown, and this is fully limit break expanded, 25 cooldown. That's a bit much, but let's see what it does. Changes the crew's tandem recovery slots and all type slots, so essentially any regular orb just changes it into matching, and then heals your crew's HP completely. That's pretty good. And then after you launch the special, applies the same special effect at the start of each battle for 3 turns. So essentially what it is when you launch it, it does the initial effect, and then it has a buff for 3 turns. And then every time you enter a new stage, it does the exact same special again. So it's actually kind of good, like, for example, like Halloween Lore, for example, right? Because, you know, he's got that special ability where you can't die. So if the enemy does like a huge death hit when you kill them and use this special ability alongside Lore, it means that you'll tank the hit with Lore. When you move into the next stage, you'll just heal back all your health and get a full board of matching slots. It's pretty awesome, honestly. But like, again, it's one of those situations where you're not going to use it that often. Like, it's only very good in like very specific circumstances. I'm not a big fan of it, honestly, but you do see that with her potential ability, she does have cooldown reduction. It's a cooldown reduction of only 10 turns though. So at the start of the fight, she'll be 15 at the minimum. If you have some sockets, it'll be down to 13, and then 12 turns if you're using a cooldown reduction ship, and then even lower than that depending on what type of captain you're using. So yeah, look, it's not my favorite treasure map unit in the game. At least the artwork's really cool. I just don't really see too many situations where I would use this unit. At least the captain ability is good though, right? As for her crewmate effects, int characters get 30 base stats and resist special reverse by 2 turns, which is okay. Recovery bind resistance by 5 and fear resistance by 5, though I feel like fear resistance on a character like this is not too useful. Support effect is damage reduction and 10% HP and recovery, which is kind of not very good. In Rumble, let's see what she does. She's an attacker style unit. Yeah, an attacker style unit. 25 CT, 3 enemies get 1.5 times attack damage, and then herself gets level 5 attack and level 5 speed for 25 seconds. It's okay, but it's nothing too crazy. And her passive is level 5 attack and level 2 HP to int. It's not too bad. There's just a lot of other really powerful int characters that you would probably use over this character right now in Pirate Rumble, so that's the only real problem there. Like, I don't know, she just seems okay. Not my favorite treasure map unit in the game, but, you know, it is what it is, right? You know, not much we can do about it, but I just don't think she's that good. I just don't think there's too many situations where you can actively use her. So let's, this is all just basic information. It's the same as every other treasure map, which I've already gone ahead and had a look at. This button right here, the treasure map crew, is where we'll be going in a second. So if you actually have a look at this, is just the boosted list, right? So you've got the new treasure map rare recruits here. 1.75 2 times and 2.2 times boost, which is pretty stock standard stuff. Now, one thing I am a little bit upset about is Halloween Shanks is not a 1.5 times treasure map point booster. I feel like that's really stupid. He should have been a 1.5 booster alongside Lore and Mihawk. Really doesn't make sense to me. But then you got the other 1.35s. But one thing that you do notice is that a lot of these units are summonable units, right? Like, how many of these units are actually free to play? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of the 16 characters in here are free to play. The rest are summonable. Not liking that at all. And then you've got just the rest of the 1.2 boosters. So what other legends are actually boosted? So you've got Judge, V2 Zora, and V2 Fujitora. Not a very good array of legends at all. At least Zora V2 and V2 Fujitora can actually be used alongside Halloween Mihawk and Halloween Law because they're both int slashers. So technically, yeah, you could do something like that if you wanted to, but not the greatest, honestly. And you've got obviously V3 Boa Batches boosted as well. A couple of decent Coliseum units, Coliseum Kids boosted, which is pretty cool. And then you go. That's pretty much it. So let's go ahead and jump into the crews and start talking about each of these bosses. So let's jump into the Treasure Map crew. The first boss is Reiju. Now, this is the free-to-play team that I've constructed here. Kaido, by the way, obviously is an Asai unit. He still gets boosted by Luffy's captain effect, but he's mainly only here just because he's a 1.35 point booster. He was the last unit I needed to chuck on a team, and he just fit onto this team. So don't worry about, Kaido too much. But if we go to the quest guide in the top left-hand corner, it tells you what you can drop, obviously, but then you go to quest guide and it tells you exactly what you need to know. They've actually got recommended characters here. There's a bit of formatting issues at the top there. They give you recommended characters. So this is like, if you have these units, put them on your team, they're going to be the best units for the fight. Because you see with Battle 5, the preemptive is your top row gets despaired for 3 turns and then delay immunity. That's all there is. So you've got Robin there to get rid of the despair. And then Luffy is your attack booster. He's got the super tight special to give you those matching slots. Zoro is there for an orb boost. Sabo is there for color affinity. It's overkill. This is going to last for a pretty long time because she does become an int character. So, it's nice to have the side characters to get past Reiju. So that's pretty much it. Like, nothing really too complex here to really talk about. Pretty straightforward stuff. Let's move on to Ace, though. Halloween Ace. He is a side character in his boss fight. So in his quest guide, you can see that these are the recommended characters here. For some reason, they recommend Halloween Boa. I'm not really 100% sure why they recommend her specifically, because the Moria already gets rid of essentially all the debuffs here. I mean, you see slot change unfavorable. Well, technically, actually, that makes a lot of sense because you can use both of the Boa specials, the double special activation, to give you the conditional boost and the orb boost. So actually, that doesn't make a lot of sense, actually. That's actually pretty good. But then anyways, you get 5 turns of paralysis and 5 turns of defense up and also delay immunity once again. And if you guys don't know, this Rumble, Moria, and Perona character just gets rid of everything because removes the poison, reduces paralysis by 5, and then drastically reduces enemy defense and gives you a conditional boost. So yeah, this Moria is probably the best unit to use. The captain effect can stack up to a 3.5 boost, which is pretty good. And then for the other characters here, we've got Coliseum Kizaru for an orb boost. We've got Coliseum Sangora for color affinity. I mean, technically, you got that Nami there as for color affinity. You could replace her with anything else, really. You could does not really matter at all. And then you've also got the not the Coliseum, the Raid Carrot. Raid Carrot is an attack booster. So yeah, like, again, pretty straightforward stuff. As long as you've got the Moria. If you've been playing Pirate Rumble every single day, you should have the Moria maxed by now. And obviously, the Moria and the Perona is going to be the best, unit to bring for this fight. And, you don't really need to worry about friend captains too much for this one. Just the mini-boss fights are, relatively simple. But there is one mini-boss fight that we get to very soon. It's pretty ridiculous. But anyways, let's move on to the next mini-boss, which is against Luffy. So this is the team that I'm suggesting here. Now, you do see over Crocodile and Robin, they've got the recommended tab because they are, like, the best units for this fight. So if we go to the quest guide once again, Luffy, with his preemptive attack, gives you 4 turns of paralysis, 5 turns of burn, 5 turns of attack down. So you got Robin to get rid of the paralysis, you got Crocodile to get rid of the burn and the attack down. So Crocodile also gives you a 2 times color affinity boost, which is great. You've got Whitebeard for whatever. I mean, again, I just chucked random characters on the team. You've got the Viola and Rebecca for Chainlock, which is pretty good. You also got Blackbeard there if you want as well. But remember, if you use 2 specials in the same turn, you can't activate Blackbeard, so that's something that you really have to take into consideration. But at least in the early stages of this boss fight, like, it shouldn't be too difficult anyway, so even just with a 2 times color affinity boost, it should get you through, without too many problems. And even if you wanted to get matching slots, you could potentially put, like, VV support on someone to get a guaranteed slot if you really wanted to. When you activate Whitebeard special, he gives you a guaranteed slot anyways, so that's pretty cool. So, you're at least getting 2 orbs and, having, the 1.2 or the 2 times color affinity boost, which is already going to give you more than enough damage. You'll have a chain lock with Viola and Rebecca, so yeah, like this is going to be pretty fair. I mean, you can replace, you know, Blackbeard with any other unit that you may have that can generate some slots for you, but yeah, Blackbeard was just kind of a filler unit. You can replace him with whatever you want. So having Crocodile and Robin just get rid of all the debuffs and gives you a color affinity boost, and then you can replace other units with whatever you want to help you get through the fight. Now, the last mini-boss is Katakuri. Now, this is a relatively tricky one. If you go to the quest guide and have a look at what he does. Okay, his preemptive gives you unfavorable slots. That's always not good. Remove SFX. Now, I did have a look at this. The remove SFX, or the blindness debuff, is a 99 turn debuff. You get 5 turns of a 1.1 chain lock, and you're special binded for 7 turns, but it's only your crewmate. But 7 turn special bind, and he has full immunity, so you can't even apply a conditional boost to him. This guy absolutely sucks, but you can see recommended character is the Vivi, and there is actually supposed to be another recommended character, but we don't actually have that character yet. It's the treasure map Jinbei that should be coming next. Because he came out first on Japan, he was actually a recommended character for this fight, because he gets rid of special bind, but we don't have him yet, so that's a big problem. But there is a way around it, and that is using Nami and Sanji as the main captain, because they have a special ability that gets rid of 5 turns of special bind, and they're an orb booster for free spirit characters. So this is what I would suggest, is to run double Nami Sanji. They're also a 1.35 point booster, so that helps out a lot as well. And then just constructing a free-to-play team around this. Now, I've also got the Rumble NL to get rid of that chain lock, which is quite nasty. We've got the Vivi, of course, to get rid of the blindness debuff. And then from there, it's pretty much good to go. Like, you've got the Frankie here, who gives your side characters a color affinity boost. We've got this Ace that can generate a full board of slots for us, as well as give us an attack boost, which is ridiculously useful. So this team actually is not going to have any problems taking down this Katakuri fight. By the way, this Katakuri is also int in his boss fight, in case you didn't realize that. So yeah, this team's pretty good. Even though we don't have the Jinbei, you can definitely still find ways around it. So now that we've gone through all of those Battle Rush bosses, let's move on to Pudding, which is the final boss fight. And there is also an ambush fight, which is against Sabo, but you can see with this team, we do have like a Legend Pudding level 5 here, and that's just because what I'm saying here is I would probably suggest, once you get your version of the treasure map Pudding, to put her on the team instead of where that Pudding is. That's what I would be suggesting, but obviously you're not going to have it on from the get-go, so you'd replace it with whatever you want, whatever you can use to fill out the position. But let's have a look at what actually happens in this boss fight. So the quest guide here on Battle 4, it says that it gives you unfavorable slots, 3 turns of attack down, and then a random behavior. Now, when it mentions random behavior, what it does is it'll apply a barrier, and the barrier can be random, and it can be a random type orb barrier, which is the worst type of barrier. So there aren't really too many ways in terms of free to play in order to get around it. So honestly, what I would suggest is to either get a matching slot on your friend Captain Mihawk and use barrier penetration to get through, or to just stall it out. Remember, it is a mini boss, and you know it is going to be quite easy to get through because it is, you know, very early stages. As you progress into like really high levels, I mean, if you're going to be progressing up to like level like 20, 30, 40, 50 plus, you're probably not going to be running a raw free-to-play team, let's be real here, but for the vast majority of players, this will be fine. You can just stall and take a couple hits, because the barrier lasts for 2 turns, I believe, and he doesn't, well, according to this, it doesn't actually do anything after the rest of those turns, so you can just stall out the barrier if you need to, and then you can go ahead and use Colosseum Neptune to get rid of the attack down and give you an orb boost, and plus a majority of these characters will actually get that orb boost as well, including the friend Captain Mihawk, and you can take it into the next stage as well. So the quest guide on Battle 5, paralysis to your right middle row for 5 turns. Remember, if you've got Mihawk as your friend captain, he resists 10 turns of paralysis. Rainbow Shield for 5 turns. Remember that Mihawk's special ability actually removes 10 turns of Rainbow Shield. 5 turns of damage threshold, and then a delay immunity. So this is why we have Kobe Meppo, and this is why we have the Kizuna Kid. Both of those special abilities will get rid of that damage threshold. You want to be using Mihawk's special first though, because that you want his attack boost over Kobe Meppo's. Then you've got page 1 to give you a chain lock to give you more damage, and then the Pudding, obviously if that was Halloween Pudding, you can use her special ability to give you matching slots either on the second last stage, or you can use the super type special of Mihawk to actually give you those matching slots as well. However, on this team, you don't have a way to get his super type special to activate, so you'd have to replace one of these characters with one of those warlords. I would really like to put Crocodile on this team, the Halloween Crocodile, but unfortunately he's really good for that other fight. So you could put maybe Treasure Map Blackbeard could fit on this team really well, actually. Treasure Map Blackbeard would be a pretty good choice. But again, you know, you do need to rely on, you know, being able to pierce the barrier. So potentially what you could do is, if you're able to pierce the barrier on stage 4, you could use the super type special and just use the tap timing bonus damage to pierce the barrier and kill the mini boss, and then move on to stage 5 and have another special to give you orbs. That could also work depending on the situation. But yeah, Mihawk is going to be your best bet here, because Mihawk gets rid of the paralysis, gets rid of the rainbow shield, and has a really good captain effect. So now we have the intrusion boss battle. Now for the intrusion boss battle, I am once again suggesting, if you have your Halloween pudding done, run her as the captain if you're running a full raw free-to-play team. But obviously not everyone is going to have her at the start, so you can go ahead and just use Crocodile as your captain instead. So let's have a look at what actually happens here. The quest guide mentions that Law is going to be a really good choice here, and I would definitely agree. So what I am suggesting is to run Law as a friend captain for this particular boss fight in the intrusion boss fight. Now, the first stage gives you 10 turns of cooldown reduction only to your int characters. Stage 2 is a koala mini boss, a full board of empty slots, and you get given 5 turns of bind to your top row characters, and also delay immunity is going to be present. So this is why I've got Robin on the team with the support of the free-to-play Straw Hat characters, because that will just instantly remove the bind for you, which is quite good. Now, for the second, or for the actual last stage, Battle 3, special reverse to your top row for 1 turn, so your captains are not going to have their specials ready to go, which is why I was suggesting running Pudding as a captain, because Pudding with her captain effect, remember, resists 1 turn of special reverse. Even if you get like just Pudding straight off the bat, even if like her captain effect isn't that good, as long as she has that first effect of, you know, resisting special reverse, just chuck her on the team, and if you have your friend Captain Law, it's going to be more than enough damage to get through at least the first earlier fights, to just to kill, which is not going to be a problem at all. So that's what I would suggest anyway. And then also, Battle 3, Despair to your top row. So if you've got Law as your captain, or your friend captain, he resists 10 turns of Despair. And then 5 turns of chain coefficient reduction as well, so that's also quite annoying. Delay immunity, and that's why we have page 1. Page 1 special will remove the chain coefficient reduction plus apply his own chain lock, and then Carrot is just here as an attack booster, and that's pretty much it. Like Robin doesn't really do much here, but the fact that she is a unit that we can attach those Straw Hat characters to is the main reason why I wanted to do that. And then you've got Pudding as well, but technically speaking, you could just like do something like this and then run Pudding as something else if you really wanted to. It just depends on what you really want to do. But once you do have Pudding max, I would suggest just using her to resist the special reverse. Plus she's a 3.5 captain, which is pretty good for free to play. And that's basically it. Like the only key support out of all these teams is just that Straw Hat character on Robin to get rid of that bind without having to worry about it. So that's what I would suggest if you're able to do so. And obviously, you know, running Mihawk against the final boss, and then running Law against the intrusion battle boss is what I would suggest as well. So these are all my free-to-play teams that I have built at the moment. Now, these are not like the perfect teams ever, but these are teams that will work in this boss fight. And obviously, as you progress throughout the rounds, once you get to like level 30-ish and 30-ish and above that, you know, these teams aren't going to be as effective anymore. But just showing you guys that, you know, if you've got free-to-play stuff, you can build raw free-to-play teams that will beat the treasure map, get you to your point threshold that you want to get to, and that's basically it. So that's the rundown of the upcoming treasure map versus Pudding. I'm relatively excited to get into this one. You know, I didn't actually get to play much of the last treasure map, so hopefully I'll be able to play this one a little bit more. But yeah, there we go. That's the rundown of everything. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and let me know down below in the comment section if do you prefer this style of treasure map video, or do you prefer my older treasure map preparation videos? As I said, these ones are a lot easier to make and definitely take up less of my time, but we'll just wait and see. We'll gauge it and see what you guys think about it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did enjoy it, make sure you go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But on that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.